Hi there, and welcome to this bonus episode of Miss Evil Knits on Creativity. And this episode will be all about mittens. Today is a beautiful day, quite warm. It's in mid-October, but it has already been frost in the mornings, and up in the northern part of Sweden, the snow has also come. So it's time to start knitting mittens if you want to have warm hands this winter. In this episode, I will talk about my experiences, my knitting mitten career, and what I think is important when it comes to knitting mittens. And in the end, I have a little surprise. I think that the first mitten I knitted was this kind of Lovikka vante. Lovikka vante is a mitten. Lovikka is actually a place in Sweden. But the mitten is usually knitted in a loosely spun woolen yarn, quite thick, like this chunky weight. And it's a simple mitten. They're knitted from the cuff and up to the fingers with this afterthought thumb. And it's often felted and then brushed to be this really resistant to water and very warm to warm your hands in the really, really cold winters in the northern part of Sweden. So that's a very common construction of mittens, this kind of afterthought thumb. And it's a simple mitten. It's easy to learn. I think that most people has knitted this kind of mitten as their first mitten. After that, I have been knitting different kinds of mittens. I wanted to try different constructions, to evolve, to develop myself. I have tried mittens in just one color, in more than one color, like stranded mittens. All these beautiful patterns, they usually come out as knit-alongs before Christmas or after Christmas. I have done textures, I have done cables and different kind of things. But all these mittens has been knitted from the cuff and up. And when it comes to the thumb and the thumb construction, some have been with these just afterthought thumb. Some have been with kind of thumb gusset, but still this afterthought. It just has some increases at the thumb. And some have been with the thumb gusset on the side. And I don't really like these thumb construction when you have this kind of afterthought thumb, where the thumb is in the middle of the hand. We have a saying in Sweden that if you have tummen mitt i handen, the thumb in the middle of the hand, it's for a person who is not very technical or practical. So I think that those mittens that have the thumb in the middle of the hand is not very practical. Maybe for holding the handles of a bike or something like that. But I don't like that construction. It means that I don't like knitting that construction because I know that it will not fit me properly. So these mittens that have the thumb at the side of the hand, I like those construction much better. And I discovered one construction that I really liked, and it's this mitten, this construction, and it is named Garnomeras enkla vantar. So the designer is Garnomera, and it's simple mittens. And what's so genius with this, it is that you see the thumb construction here, and it's exactly the same on both sides. So it means that this is not the right or the left mitten. I can use it on both sides. And it's a simple construction up here at the top as well. And when it comes to the gusset, you can choose and make it in whatever like way you want to. But I liked this. So this kind of construction became my go-to construction. It's not the perfect construction. As you see, I think it's good on the inside of the hand. But when it comes to the outside, and if you want to make some kind of stranded pattern or texture pattern, it becomes a little bit like awkward to having that. So I started to experiment with this construction to have it like a little bit better to fit my needs. But still, when it comes to all mittens that is constructed in this kind of basic way, when you knit it from down up to the top, and then the last thing is the thumb. I have several of mittens that hasn't got a thumb because I kind of lose interest when it comes to knitting the thumb. I like knitting the mitten, but when I bind up at the top, I'm not that kind of fascinated of it anymore. Not because I don't like knitting thumbs, but I find also that when I try it on, it doesn't really fit that well that I want it to fit. So that also contributes to me losing interest in knitting a mitten. And when you feel like it's not really a perfect fit, why should I pick up stitches and start knitting the thumb then? So that got me thinking, how can I construct the perfect mitten that fits perfectly and also is a bliss to knit? And I came up with it. to get that perfect fit that I wanted, I realized that I have to knit my mitten top down. And that means that I also need to knit my thumb from the top and down. And then I wanted to have a gusset that really allowed my thumb to move as it is supposed to do. So I tried this a lot of times. I knitted a lot of mittens to trying to come up with the best fit. I knitted it, as you see here, top down, just like I knit socks top down. And when it came to the thumb, I saw that to be able to knit it top down, I need to, and have it a perfect fit, I need to have it like my special twist on it. And I also wanted to have this thumb gusset that is only doing the decreases on the inside of the hand, so that the outside can be really nice and even, and that you can have some kind of pattern, texture, or color work without it being interrupted by the thumb gusset. So I tried it out quite a lot of times, and when I was asked to make this recipe, it became the Hwila mitten. So the Hwila mitten is knitted top down, both the hand and the thumb, and then it has this thumb gusset and a very simple cuff, but that is still effectful. And everything in this mitten is thought through, so it will make both a perfect fit, it will make a perfect, it will be functional, and it's also joyful to knit. So this Hwila mitten is knitted in 2 strands of nutiden. And after I made this recipe, I experimented in making it in other different textures. You see, this is made of, I made this grass stitch on it, but it's still the same construction and a garter cuff. I made it as a half mitten, a fingerless mitten. But I really like to wear this time of year. I also applied the technique on this mitten, half mitten, that is called hemma, and applied that way of knitting on this one as well. So after a lot of knitting and experimenting and thinking, I finally came up with what I think is kind of the perfect mitten construction. So this, my Hwila mitten. And since it's just a kind of construction, not like a fully, what do you call, a pattern, it's more a way of constructing your mitten. You can use this for any kind of, kind of mitten you want to knit. It's just like the sock that you have the perfect heel construction, and then you can apply that to any kind of sock that you want to knit. And this is basically the same. I have tried it myself, and I've seen other people doing it. I knitted a full stranded work mitten, top down. It can be a little bit fiddly on the top with the increases, but It's perfectly possible to do it.
I'm driving down an empty freeway, no waiting for the light to change. I'm seeing the sunrise behind me.
So if you don't want to construct your own perfect mitten, I have an offer for you. I will make my recipe of this Hwila mitten available for all of you during November and December. I have already made it public once. It was in February this year. And if you are on Patreon on Hönor och Eir, you also have these videos for the pattern recipe available all the time. But for all of you that still haven't knitted my pattern, or for all of you that maybe knitted it in February and want to do it again, you will have a second chance now. The recipe, the pattern recipe, is in video form. So there are 5 videos. Video number 1 is the introduction video. In that one, I will tell you everything that you need to know. So I will tell you about how it is constructed. I will tell you about recommendation for choosing yarn. And you should know that you can use any yarn for this. I have designed it in 2 strands of Nutiden, but you can use any yarn. The only thing that you need to think about is to have the needles fitting the yarn. So the construction is that you can make it fit with any yarn for any size of your hands. You just have to choose needles so that the fabric is good. And I recommend you to have quite a dense fabric. So make it warm and a little bit wind-proof as well. And you can make it in any kind of pattern or texture that you want. But the design I show, it is just stockinette. So that is the introduction video. Then there are 4 instruction videos. The first one, I explain how to make the thumb. The second one is the hand. The third one is the gusset. And the last one, the 4th instruction video, is for the cuff. So in total 5 videos. So if you are interested in knitting these mittens, maybe for yourself, or there is less than 2 months left for Christmas, there is this. I think that this is also a very good Christmas present for someone who need mittens and are knit-worthy, of course. So you can start already now and prepare your yarn. As always, I recommend to use yarn in 100% wool and not superwash treated, but pure untreated wool. I will always recommend that for mittens. But of course, you choose the yarn that you want to have. And you can make thin mittens and thick mittens. The first video will be published, the introduction video, on the 1st of November. And then there will be a new video on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th of November. And they will be available for everyone from the 1st of November then and until the last of December. So in total of 2 months. And then I will remove them from the internet, but probably they will come back for this kind of temporary availability next year. Since these videos were already up there, I showed them already in February, I'm not really sure. I'm kind of just activating them again, but I'm not really sure how they will appear. So I have made a playlist on my YouTube channel that is called Hwila Mitten 2021. So go into that playlist and there they will appear for those dates that I talked about. So the 1st of November, then you should get the introduction videos. And from the 2nd of November, you can start knitting by starting with the thumb. As for the sock recipe, the Kura sock recipe that is available right now and will still be available until the last of October, I make this as a recipe, and it has a limited kind of availability. And that is because I don't invest money in making these. I invest time in doing these constructions and making these videos. And I want you to invest time in it, time to actually sit down and learn them. Because this is not like an ordinary pattern you buy on, for example, Ravelry or somewhere else, that you just like click and then you have it and then you can kind of use it whenever you want. This is more like an offer for you. It's like a course or a lesson I give you that is not, you have to choose to take it, and you have to take some effort to actually learn so you can have something back. You need to invest your time as well. So that's why it's only available during a short period. I want that those are you that are actually knitting the mitten, that you are dedicated and you are free to take notes, and so that you know how to recreate the mitten even if the videos are not available anymore. But of course, you're not allowed to copy them and publish them as your own pattern or something. I still have the rights to it. I'm just publishing in another way than an ordinary written pattern. If you want to have inspiration, I recommend you to go through Instagram and search for the hashtag Miss Evil Hwila Mitten. And you will probably see a lot of different mittens made from different yarns. I know there are plenty that have been using lättlåpi and also plötelåpi. If you don't have nutiden, of course. So you can use any kind of yarn. And there is also a hashtag that says Hwila I nutiden. And that is if you are using nutiden. I also ask you to use that hashtag, Hwila I nutiden. But it's all in the videos. I talk about that as well. The introduction video, there's actually 2 introduction videos. It is one in English and there is also one in Swedish. So the introduction videos are in English and Swedish, but the 4 instruction videos are only in English. But I hope that you will understand it. So many have already knitten these mittens. As always, so what I talked about when I had this bonus episode of the Kura sock, I want you to help me spread the word that these videos are now available. So I will not do any special announcements on Instagram or so, but I want you to do it. And when you do it, I want you to be very clear that it is a limited time that it's available, and also explain why it's only available for 2 months. And I want you also to be clear that I am not giving pattern support. They are, I would say, well explained on how to do things. So anyone who can knit, it's not totally unfamiliar with knitting, can do it, but you need to be a little bit brave to try it on and test this and accept that maybe the first mitten is not going to be perfect, but the second and the third will be perfect. So my autumn gift for you, it is the recipe for the Hwila mitten. I hope that you like the recipe and will knit it, and that I will see a lot of Hwila mitten in my Instagram flow and on that hashtag Miss Evil Hwila mitten from now on. So take care and enjoy.